Cheers! How do, buckaroos? How the heck are you? I am John the Beer Whisperer. I'm also Tom the Whiskey Whisperer. I have multiple personalities, man. Anyway, how the heck are you? So I did a video just for this. My hypocrisy in a bottle, I call it. Goose Island, Bourbon County stout. This 2019 incarnation is 14.7%. Yes, it is big, it's bold, and I'm curious now that I've waited a little bit before having this second glass, because I poured a small pour. Let me get that glass up here. Using my Belgian taster here. So, in past incarnations, they've started out okay, but by the time I got near the end of the bottle, they felt very cloyingly sweet. Which would certainly be a case for sharing a bottle rather than trying to drink a whole one yourself. However, this is the situation. And I still get it. Now that I've let it warm, the aromas actually are more powerful. But I think what threw me off is, in a good way, to be honest with you, is the first thing I noticed on the aroma were herbal and botanical notes. I mean, I was noticing, gosh, I'm still getting them. A sassafras, which would be a botanical note, I suppose, and anise, which would be an herbal note. I get a lot of deep, dark brown sugar. I get a lot of roasted malt. There's certainly molasses with that brown sugar. The aromas are spectacular. But what I wanted to do with this particular video, since I already did a video just for the beer, was to pour myself this glass, a shot glass, actually holds a jigger. So then I pair the Thomastown Double Oak Bourbon. The double oaks they uses French oak staves and American oak staves. Now they don't specify Missouri white oak, although it is a Kansas City whiskey. But it is a bourbon that really exudes a lot of vanilla, which is why I kind of wanted to pair it. I wanted to pair it with this beer. I have golden rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French horse, 2 turtle doves. I have my own, got my own spin on it there. Anyway, you just see what I did there. Anyway. So at 14.7%, you can feel some alcohol. I'm not going to call it boozy though, because for me, if you use that term boozy, it implies that it's off-putting or it's a flaw, that you're getting too much alcohol. You should expect a certain amount of alcohol from a 14.7% beer. So I'm going to say you can feel it's there, but it doesn't go all the way to boozy, meaning it doesn't feel off-putting. Damn, I said in my video for this, I really wanted to hate it, but I don't. I've said and I've remarked, sometimes on purpose and a little facetiously, that it is an overhyped, overpriced macro masquerading as a craft. And I still stand by that, to be honest with you. I do feel it. I feel it is overhyped, because there was a time I can walk in and buy Goose Island Bourbon County Bourbon Stout the second it came out. I mean, there was no waiting in line. I not only could buy that year's, but I could buy the previous years and the previous years. But that was before the AB buyout. And what AB does better than anybody is marketing. That's what they are. I mean, they're a marketing firm. Make no mistake, they've never had the best beer, but they've always marketed it better than anybody else. That's what they do at AB. And now AB and Bev. And in my opinion, the beer hasn't maintained its consistency over the years since the buyout. So although I don't get a lot of those bourbon barrel notes per se on the nose, I mean, I do feel a vanilla and I do feel some toffee notes. I just don't feel a lot of the oak on the nose. Although I am feeling more now that it's warmed up some, I will say that. You feel a lot of that on the flavor right away. You get that toasted oak from top to bottom, all the way through. At the end is where you feel that barrel char, to be honest with you. You get the vanilla, the toffee is all coming from that barrel. And even though it is thick, I mean, it is a very viscous beer. Again, for me, that's not off-putting. It doesn't become harsh because I'm expecting it to be big. It should be viscous. It is a 14.7% Imperial Stout, but it's not overly so, again, in my opinion. And this is coming from somebody from, like I said, really wanted to hate it, but I'm not. Like there's a commercial from Southern California originally. There was a commercial from 8 Salt Fish and Chips, and the tagline was brilliant. It was "Used to hate it till I ate it." And that's kind of how I'm feeling about this beer at this particular moment. So I really wanted to hate it, but damn, it is good. And I'll be honest, I've had incarnations of this in the past where my first small glass about this size I loved, but by the time I got to the second, third, it got a little worse as it went along. I gotta be honest, this is my second pour. There's about half a bottle left. And I'm liking this section even better than the first, and I really like that one a lot. And the reason for that is it's really getting to the temperature that it needs to be, where all those flavors are there, and now they're just coming together harmoniously in a great big way. Again, I really wanted to say it's terrible, don't buy it, buy something else, but I can't do it, man. Again, I love this particular whiskey. Tomstown Distillers out of Kansas City, Missouri. I love to buy, again, I feel the same way about beers. For the most part, I love to visit my local craft breweries. This craft distiller in Kansas City is just freaking outstanding. Tomstown Double Oak Bourbon, my experience at that site was just incredible. The bartender, Jonathan, was one of the best bartenders I've ever had in my life, and I've had quite a few. This kid was good. Made me what was arguably the best classic Manhattan of my life. It was brilliant, man, it really was. What I like about pairing a beer like this with a bourbon like this or a whiskey like this is that if you get the right beer and the right bourbon, they play off of each other in the right way. You have certain flavors and aromas that work together. And this is what I got. I got a very big, very sweet beer where you get a lot of oak in the finish. And then here I have a very rich, decadent whiskey with a lot of spice that helps balance all of those flavors out. And that's why it's nice. Those, you know, there are those that are never going to get it, right? They're never going to want to pair the two, that's okay. But for those of you that like to pair beer and whiskey, this really is a brilliant pairing. You may not want to, you know, add bourbon to a beer that's already 14.7%. However, this Tomstown Double Oak really works beautiful with that beer. Now, before I run this video way too long, because I'm already getting long. I mean, I'm getting long, man. Doesn't mean that to sound dirty, but I did anyway. Yeah, because I'm kind of getting a little giddy. It's a big beer. Anyway, and at the risk of repeating myself, once again, I've had incarnations of this that seem to get sweeter as it warmed. This one is almost doing the opposite. It was very sweet at first, but I still had enough of other notes and flavors to balance it out. But here, although it is very sweet, I'm not going to get away from that. The oak, the vanilla, the spice really has become more pronounced as well. and really balances that sweetness in a very positive way. Again, I would really love to be able to tell you that I hate this beer, but gosh, I can't. It is good. I'm just not one of those that's ever going to, no matter how good this is, I'm not going to stand in line for it next year. Although I will stipulate that most people standing in line aren't necessarily standing in line just for this or standing in line for the variants. However, I just won't do it. I don't buy into that hype. I'm somebody that loves craft beer for craft beer and not for the hype and not to brag about my purchases. I want to drink the beer, and every beer I get, I share. I don't keep a beer cellar because I share everything I get. Beer, like even good whiskey, man. It should be enjoyed. It shouldn't be trapped in the cellar just so you can brag about what you once found. Bring it out, enjoy it with some friends, man. Don't be that way. That's not what it's about. Anyway, at the risk of getting self-righteous again, I just can't help it, man. It just frustrates me when people want to brag about the stuff they have but don't want to share it with you. And if you're going to tell me about it, bring it out. Let's pop it open. Don't just tell me about it and put it back on a shelf. I got no tolerance for that kind of nonsense. I am Tom the Beer Whisperer, beer evangelist, prolific beer drinker, purveyor, wisdom, man. I am also Tom the Whiskey Whisperer, whiskey evangelist, prolific whiskey drinker, purveyor, wisdom, man. All around good guy. Cheers, y'all.